Hey everybody, I'm out in nature again. I love being outdoors, especially when it's so beautiful like it is today. Behind me is a highway, so if you hear traffic, that's what it is, okay? I'm on a bike trail, but there's a highway that runs parallel to this bike trail. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I love being outside, and I don't care if there's a highway and traffic. As long as there are trees, I'm happy, okay? The sky is absolutely gorgeous, no clouds at all. So what else are you supposed to do on a beautiful spring day? I guess you could stay home and do some beading, but I just couldn't resist going outside today. I always go anyway, but I usually go later in the evening when the sun goes down. Today I thought I would go out earlier and enjoy the springtime. So anyway, this is a really neat bike trail. Let me turn my camera around. As you can see, Arlington is full of bike trails, which makes it really nice for people who like to walk like I do. I used to ride my bike, but then one day I had an accident and I banged up my legs really badly, and ever since then I've been afraid to get on a bike. You get to a certain age where you don't want to take any risks, okay? And now I'm at that age right now. I just don't want to take any chances of injuring myself and then not being able to do anything at all. So anyway, I stick to my walking, and that's all I do, and I love it. I enjoy being outside, especially when the weather is nice like this. And tomorrow it might rain and be overcast, so I take advantage of every single day like today. But anyway, I really love being out here in nature. It makes me so happy. I love seeing all the blooms. The trees are blooming. Daffodils are out. You know what else makes me happy? Beautiful, colorful beads, just like the ones on the bracelet that you saw in the intro. And I'm going to be showing you how to make that today. Now I'm going to be using the beads from the Jessie James Beads Magical Mystery Bead Box for the month of February, okay? And I know some of you don't subscribe to that box, but that's okay. You can still do this project, okay? Just find some beads, mostly 6mm in size, in different colors, and you should be able to do the project. I will be using a component that came in that box. It's a really pretty butterfly component like you saw in the intro. And basically the main focus of today's tutorial is how to convert a component into a button clasp. So if you don't have that butterfly component or anything similar, just pull out a button clasp or use any other kind of clasp and you should be okay. You should still be able to do this project, okay? Okay, let's head on back to the studio because I can't wait to show you how to make that gorgeous bracelet. It's so colorful, and like I said, if you don't have the beads, you can still do the project, okay? Just find some beads that are colorful. Just dig into your stash. I know you have beads somewhere, okay? Just like all of us who are in this business. I know you have a stash of beads hiding somewhere. So just dig in and use them up. All right, I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, let's go over the materials. You're going to be needing some leather, and it all depends on how long you want your bracelet to be. So for a 7.5-inch bracelet, I recommend that you cut yourself a length that's about 26 inches long. Okay, now I would say cut a little bit more if you're a beginner, just to make sure. Okay, you might want to cut 28 inches because it's better to have too much than too little. But I'm going to be using this one here, and the color is Lawn. Okay. It's a round leather cord, and for those of you who don't subscribe to the Magical Mystery Bead Box, just find any leather that's, I don't know, maybe 1mm in thickness, okay? 0.5 to 1mm would be good, okay? And so I'm going to be using this one. It's a really pretty green color, as you can see, and it's kind of metallic. Now for the clasp, I'm going to be doing something different today, okay? I'm going to be using one of these charms. And here's a perfect example of how you can compromise, okay? So if you don't have a button clasp or a lobster claw clasp, I'm going to turn this component into a clasp, okay? As you can see, it's a very pretty butterfly, and it has a lot of little openings. So we're going to work with those openings today, okay? And it does have these two little rhinestones, but I'm not too concerned about it because you're still going to be able to see them once I do the wire work that I'm going to show you, okay? So if you don't have this component, then just find yourself either a button clasp with a shank, all right? Or if you want to use a different kind of clasp, like a lobster claw clasp, that's okay too. We're going to be using some seed beads, but you're only going to need just a few, okay? Not very many at all. It all depends on how big of a piece you're going to be using, okay? I'm going to be using these seed beads on this piece, and I'm only going to need 4 of them, and I'm actually going to use this green color right here. Okay, so these are kind of like 11-Os, but they're a little bit skinnier, I would say. So I'm just going to pull out a few. You really don't need a lot, and if you don't have a colored seed bead, you can use a bronze or a gold, anything that goes with your component, that would be fine as well. I need some wire, and I recommend 24 gauge, okay, and I'm going to be using this Beadalon brand in a gold color, but you can use bronze or any other color that you feel like using today, okay? Something that coordinates with your beads and with a component that you're going to be using for clasp. And I'm going to be using this beautiful Cancun Mini Bead Mix that came with the February box. But these are all, I would say, the thickest might be 8 millimeters thick, okay? They're not very big beads at all. So I would say if you can find yourself beads that are between 4 and 8 or 9 millimeters thick, that would be okay, all right? So the bigger the bead, the bulkier it's going to be, so you got to watch that, all right? I'm not going to use too many of the large ones. I'm going to use primarily the ones that are 6 millimeters, okay? So if you don't have that Magical Mystery Bead Box, or if you've used up all your beads, it's not too late. Go into your stash and get some leftover beads, something that looks pretty, and use them up. I'm going to dump out all of these here. A couple of weeks ago, I made a necklace using some of the green beads that were in this mix. So I don't have a lot of green left, and I used them up to make this gorgeous necklace. I don't know if you saw the tutorial. I'll leave a link down below, so if you want to go check it out. But anyway, I used up some of the green beads from the mix, and I don't have as many as I would like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a different mix that I had in my stash that has green beads in it, and I'll be right back. Here it is, and I can't believe I haven't used it. It's called the Avocado on Everything mix. And I just never got around to using this gorgeous bead mix, but there are some green beads in here that I'd like to incorporate so that I can pick up the green from the cord. So I think there are some beads in here that are going to look really pretty. Let me just see if I can pull them out. I think I'll use these. I love this shade of green. So I'll put 2 of those in there, and maybe these 2 beads as well. So that's enough green in there. See guys, I'm going into my stash, pulling out beads that I've had for a while. You need to just dig into your stash and see what you have that you can use. Compromise. Okay, so we have this gorgeous mix. Look at that. That is so pretty. And I think that's about it. You might want to dab a little bit of GS Hypo Cement on the knots that we're going to be making, okay, just to give the bracelet more security, but you really don't need to. Okay, let's go ahead and start with the wire work. So you're going to cut yourself a piece that's about, I would say 8 inches, just to be on the safe side, 6 to 8 inches, okay? And I'm going to straighten mine out a little bit. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a little kink, just a little off center, all right? A little bit off center. Doesn't have to be perfect. Do a 90-degree angle, just like this, okay? And now we're going to thread on 4 seed beads. That's all we're going to thread on, okay? I know it's not a lot, but for this particular component, that's all I need. So you're going to have to figure out how many you need depending on what you're using to make the clasp, okay? So this is what we have, okay? Just like that. And now we're going to do a kink on this side, another 90-degree angle kink. So you should have something that looks like this. Take your butterfly component and thread the wires through just like this, okay? So that when you pull them through, the little seed beads sit across the top of the butterfly's body, just like that, okay? You can still see the rhinestones. All right, so now go to the back of the component and crisscross your wires like this. Grab them and give it one twist. That's all you need. Bring them back together again. Get your round nose pliers. Bend it, and it doesn't matter which way the loop goes. We're going to do a wrap loop. It doesn't matter because you can always change it, okay? Switch your nose around, the nose of your pliers, and take the two ends, wrap them around, flip your pliers around. We're just doing a simple wrap loop like you normally would with any other piece. Take it around to the back like this. And then you're going to grab those two ends and do a couple of wraps. Just like this. Okay, remove your pliers, snip off the excess, and get in there with some needle nose pliers and tuck those ends in. Tuck the tails in the best way you can, and then once you do that, you might want to place your round nose pliers back inside that loop. Make sure it's nice and straight, and change the orientation if you need to, okay? But that's basically it, guys. Look how easy that is. See how simple that was? And look how pretty it looks. I love the look of that. So now we have a button clasp. Very simple. Alright, so now we're going to cut 26 inches worth of leather. And I'm cutting myself a little extra just to be on the safe side. So now that you have your leather cord, you're going to take your little button clasp and you're going to thread one end through the clasp. And you're going to bring it all the way down. So you want to bring your ends together and bring that little button clasp all the way to the middle of your leather. Okay, just like this. And you're very simply going to take and make a knot. Now you want to keep the leather cord parallel. Okay, you want to keep it parallel so that when you make your knot, the cords are not going to crisscross. And then I simply bring the two ends through the loop. You want the knot to be nice and neat, okay? Can you guys see that? So that the cords are parallel to each other. And then very slowly tighten up the knot. Pull one end, pull the other end. It's just a simple knot, okay? That's all it is. Don't stress too much about this. Okay, so here's the knot. And now we're ready to thread the beads. And this is the fun part, okay? Here's an important tip. The beads that are going to be up against this knot are going to be smaller than the rest of them, okay? So I'm going to have small ones throughout, but try to get the first couple of beads to be the smaller beads, okay? Now before we start threading, what you want to do is you want to take your cord and you want to cut it on an angle using the flush side of your pliers so that you have a little pointed end, okay? And it makes it easier to thread through the beads. So you want to do that to both of them. And now we're going to simply start threading the beads, and this is the fun part. I'm going to thread two little ones first, one on each cord. And now I'm going to continue to thread my beads, and you can do one strand at a time, you can do both strands, you can alternate strands. And the best part about this, guys, is that you don't have to think about it. You really don't. You really don't have to think about it, okay? The more random, the better, okay? I don't want you doing a pattern for this. This is going to be totally random, the whole thing, okay? So we're going to thread beads until we get a length that's about 4 3/4, because we're not going to have the whole leather cord loaded, okay? We're going to have like a floating effect where the beads are going to slide around. So it's not going to be full of beads, okay? You want to be able to see the leather. That's the whole beauty of this bracelet. You want to be able to see that pretty leather, okay? So if you have the beads up against each other like this, you're not going to see the leather very much. So you want a little bit of leather showing. You'll see in just a second. I'll measure it for you so you know what I'm talking about. It's hard to explain sometimes, okay? But yeah, this is the fun part. Just loading the beads on any way you want. And just, you know, having fun. That's the main thing. Making sure that your patterns are random, okay? Don't get too caught up in trying to make a pattern. I know some of you are like that. I'm like that sometimes too. I like things to have structure and, you know, I like to be in control. But this is one instance where you just have to let yourself go and just, you know, try not to think about it too much, okay? And if you happen to get two that are the same color side by side, that's okay. Don't worry about it because you're really not going to notice it, okay? You're really not going to notice it once everything's loaded. So this is what we have so far, okay? I just love these colors. Oh my gosh, they're so beautiful. They're so pretty. So this is the largest bead I'm going to be using. I am not going to use this one here. It's too big, okay? I'll probably make some earrings with these. These are so adorable. And I'm not going to use these because these have glitter on them and it might come off, okay? Because bracelet, you don't want to put that on a bracelet because it might come off. These are okay for earrings where it's not rubbing against your skin, okay? But if you have something that's on your skin constantly, like a bracelet, you don't want to put a bead that has glitter like that because it'll just come off eventually. And I do want to use these pretty gold ones with rhinestones. They're so beautiful. Okay, this is what I have so far. Now I'm going to make a bracelet that's between 7 and 7.5 inches long, okay? So like I said, you want some space in between some of the beads. You don't want the beads up against each other unless that's the look that you're looking for, okay? It's completely up to you guys, okay? But what I would say is at this point, you want to take the bracelet, spread them out a little bit, okay? And then pinch the spot where you think you want your knot, just like this, and then put it around your wrist and figure it out and see if that's what you want, okay? Loop itself and the clasp adds to the length as well, okay? So you need to take that into account. You're going to add another inch to your bracelet. So for instance, if I want to make a 7-inch bracelet, then I'm going to want to make my knot at about 6 inches, okay? So somewhere in that vicinity where my thumb and index finger is. So that's where I'm going to place my knot, okay? That's what I recommend that you do. And then so once you decide where you want your knot to go ahead and do a nice neat knot, just like you did at the other end. Pull it through. And you can adjust it, okay? So what I would recommend that you do is put it back on your measuring guide or your ruler and adjust the knot so that it sits right where you want it, okay? And just tighten it up. Nice and tight. Just like that. And then spread your beads out. Don't you love that look? Oh my gosh, that is so pretty. That is so beautiful. I love it. Okay, so now that you've done that, now you're going to do your loop. Okay, so what I recommend that you do, depending on what component you use, you need to measure the component. Okay, so I want to measure this portion from this tip of the wing to this tip of the wing because it's going to go in sideways. Okay, that's how I'm going to thread it through the loop. So my loop needs to be approximately 3/4 of an inch. So once again, you want to make sure that you pinch it at the right spot, 3/4 of an inch, and do your knot. Pull it before you tighten it, test it to make sure that your component's going to fit through, okay? So this is how it should look, okay? Once you have the correct size loop, then go ahead and tighten your knot up. Once you're finished with your bracelet, you might want to add a little dab of glue, like I said, okay, just to make sure that it's nice and secure. But we're not done yet, okay? We're not done yet. We're going to thread some more fun beads, and I love these colors. They're so pretty, guys. Oh my gosh. I'm going to create 2 little tassels, okay? One's going to be longer than the other. So I'm going to make one that's about 2 1/4 inches long, and the other one a little bit shorter than that. So this is going to be about 2 1/4 approximately. So I'm going to make my knot here. It doesn't have to be precise, okay, guys? It really doesn't. You can make these as long as you want or as short as you want, okay? Once you have that, snip off the excess. So there's one. Now this one's going to be a little bit shorter. Okay, so it's not that much shorter, it's a little bit shorter. So that's it, guys. That's the bracelet. Isn't it cute? I just love these colors. Tell me that's not adorable. Oh my gosh, look at this. Look how cute this is. Oh, this is just so adorable, guys. Look at this. And you know, when you have this bracelet on, this little butterfly looks like it's just fluttering around. It's really cute. Let me show you. Look how adorable that is. It is so cute. So anyway, just make sure that your loop is big enough, guys, okay, because it's got to fit over the shank as well. Just test it, make sure you have the correct size loop, you know, because I've made this one a couple of times, and the first time I made it, the loop was too small, and I had trouble inserting the butterfly through it. So you don't want to, you know, struggle, and you definitely don't want to stretch the leather out. So you want that loop to be nice and big so you can fit it in. But at the same time, you don't want it to slide out, okay? And it's kind of hard because of the shape of this component. I don't think it'll ever slide out, but yeah, this is so cute. I love it. I love the colors. This bracelet makes me happy. Just looking at that butterfly and the beautiful colorful beads puts a smile on my face. Anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial. I hope I've given you some tips. Go out and make your own butterfly bracelets, and most importantly, have fun doing it, okay? Enjoy the spring. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.